Hello and welcome to Outlook on Air. This podcast is designed to keep you connected with all things Outlook, with special emphasis on our enrichment program and its many activities and services. On this podcast, we'll hear from Outlook associates, donors to our many programs, clients of our services, and much more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this edition of Outlook on Air. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Outlook on Air from the Palatial Podcast Studio here at Outlook in Richmond as we get another podcast underway. I am your host, Dennis Nelson. Glad to be with you once again this month. And I want to start out this podcast with a correction of sorts because I talked about Good Maps changing to Indigo Maps. But I forgot to include the word maps when I talked about it, and that is very important. If you just do a search for Indigo, as I called it when I did the original podcast, you will not find anything because so many apps have Indigo in their name that the App Store gets kind of confused and doesn't bring you to anything. So if you are looking for the Good Maps app, which has now been renamed to Indigo Maps, make sure you include the word maps when you're searching for it, and then you'll find it and have a happy life ever after and all that sort of thing. So if you are one of those who was looking for Indigo and couldn't find it, good reason. You have to call it Indigo Maps. I wanted to get that out of the way right out of the chute here, and that way maybe we can save a few people a few headaches. Last month, of course, we featured Fred with the AIJingleMaker.com, and he gave us his accessible website that he created using AI to do it, and he did a fantastic job. I wanted to give a quick little review from a visually impaired perspective on that, and just let you know that he did do a fantastic job. All the buttons are as advertised. All the major screen reading commands that we all use to navigate websites and such, they all work as advertised and do a fantastic job of being very accessible, and you can tab to things and all kinds of fun stuff. So I think you'll enjoy the site from an accessibility standpoint, and it really is. Having said that, however, as a totally blind person, you might find that some of the things that are on the website may not be completely to your liking 100%. That's not Fred's fault. It's just the way the technology is at this point, and maybe at some point he'll work some ways around some of that. And as Fred was very quick to point out to me, hey, if you can't do something on my site for any reason, let me know. Just write to me at fred@AIJingleMaker.com. I will either make it happen and help you out in that regard, or maybe you can, talk to me here and that sort of thing, or we can figure out a way to make something work if you're really stuck by it. So keep those kinds of things in mind as well. For example, just to give one example, his stutter liner maker, it's great if you can see on the things that you're selecting on the screen, but we can't hear what we're selecting, and that's kind of frustrating. You can watch it go across the screen if you can see it, but you can't hear it, so you don't know what you're selecting. But there are ways around all of that, and for anybody who really needs to know or get into all that, I can certainly be very helpful in that regard as well. I would recommend using a more traditional audio editor where you can hear what you are selecting as you select it, so you know what you're doing. It kind of helps. But everything else on the site is fantastic. He's got DJ drops you can use. He's got you can create an audio promo. So many things that you can do on the site that most of those are, the few things you can't are outweighed by the ones that you can. And certainly in our business here, doing podcasts, stutter liners are nice, they're cool, they're fun and all that kind of thing, but certainly not a necessity. Our podcast isn't based on whether we can do a stutter liner or not, and I would imagine that's the case for many of you as well. So what you can't do is made up for by what you can do, and you can do a whole lot more than you can't. So I wanted to give the site a real good review and a rave review, really, because there's so many things that will make your podcast really fun and entertaining by using the site. And I really urge you to use his self-service options that Fred offers. So just wanted to take a moment to talk about that as well. Whether you're listening to our podcast for the first time or you've heard it before and you'd like to find out how you can find it and hear it anytime you want, it's all very simple.
You'll find our podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Podbean.com, or just ask your phone, tablet, or smart speaker to play the Outlook on Air podcast.
Janis Compton is a name that is synonymous with Outlook Enrichment and Outlook Nebraska. Janis was Outlook's first full-time receptionist, and she did her job so well that probably unintentionally, but she's sort of become a legend around here. So many people ask me about Janis, how she's doing, have I heard from her lately, that sort of thing, that I thought it would be fun to have her on the podcast here and let her tell you how she's doing. Plus, she has a major announcement that she'll be passing along as well. I know that longtime employees of Outlook especially will really enjoy this particular portion of the podcast. Janis, welcome to the Outlook On Air podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Oh, well, thank you. It's a pleasure for me, too. Looking forward to this.
Are you an Omaha native or not?
No, I'm not. I was born in Bremerton, Washington. I'm a Navy brat. Then I moved to Houston upon my marriage, and then we got transferred from Houston to St. Louis and St. Louis to here.
My goodness. Yeah, you have been around a bit and moved around a lot, I suppose, even as a young person.
Not so much prior to the marriage, which, was early in my life. But, but yeah, other than that, I stayed pretty much in Washington State up to that point.
Uh-huh. Well, that's still quite a cross-country move for you, and I'm sure,
A little culture shock.
Sure. Yeah, I would imagine so. So, all right, we've covered at least the early portion of your life. Let's talk about when you started hearing about Outlook. Had you been working prior to that or had some other jobs and then found out about Outlook, or how did that all happen?
I was not employed in Omaha. I was employed in other cities, but I was at, I believe it was a commission meeting here in Omaha, at which time I met Eric Stukrath, and we chatted a little bit, and he invited me to put in an application, which I did, and ended up getting my position.
Well, that is fantastic. Now, your position at that time, were you referred to as a receptionist? Would that have been the proper title for you, or was it fancier than that?
No, it was receptionist. I could be wrong, but I believe it was a new position because, of course, back in 2010, the company was still growing, and I won't say it was in its infancy, but it was, of course, much smaller than it is today. So we all had to learn what the position entailed.
Sure.
So it was a fun experience, though.
And I'm sure it took on, its own character as it evolved.
It did. It did, very much so. And of course, as the company grew, and then we had the build-out, and Outlook expanded as it did into different facets, the position changed somewhat. Largely, I still greeted people, but it was on a larger scale over time.
I would imagine so. Why don't you go ahead and describe your position, the kinds of things you did, and the versatility that you displayed and had to display. And I'm sure there's a lot there that you think about and as you think back on what you did. I mean, you were kind of a jack of all trades in many ways.
Initially, yes. But I think a lot of people in the company at that time wore more than one hat. If something needed to be done, then it got done in some fashion or form. So But I was always a receptionist. That part of my position never changed. However, as the company grew, especially when we started having tours come in, that was different but a lot of fun. Just getting to meet people from all over the country who were just fascinated with what we did.
Yeah.
Was a wonderful experience. And, we all learned things about different parts of the country as well.
Yeah, I would imagine you did.
Oh, indeed. Like I say, it was everyone had boots on the ground, though, at that time, because we were all learning as the company grew. It was not static. So every day was a new learning experience. And the one thing I have to say for the, 10 and a half years I worked there, I guess 11 and a half actually, that I never met an angry person. There was not, and all that time, not one person walked in the door angry. Everybody was pleasant and fun to be around, and that is something I did not experience in previous employments. So that was just an absolute gift.
Well, I know, speaking for myself, it's very, very hard to be very angry here. Everybody is nothing but nice, as you say, and that's still the case. And it's just hard to stay mad. Even if you come in mad, it usually evaporates pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess that goes to show just the culture of Outlook, in that we feel valued and appreciated. And it's hard to have a bad attitude with that kind of culture.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about, obviously you answered the phones, you greeted folks as they came in. What other kinds of things? What other kinds of those extra duties? I'm sure that the phrase other duties as assigned and all that really came into play for you.
It did. Of course, it depended on what was going on at the time. I helped out getting birthday and anniversary cards out. I did data entry. Now you're really taxing my memory, because there were so many tidbits that were done. So it was just basically whatever the day brought. Of course, incoming mail and that type of thing. Like I say, it was just a cornucopia of different things. To say what I did on any given day, it was just I never knew.
Sure.
And that was part of the fun of the job. You never knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, that had to be exciting, because every day you'd come in and something always was different. As much as there was routine, like delivering the mail every day, as you say, there were plenty of things that were way out of that routine at the same time.
Indeed, because of course, one department would have something going on of a given day or week, and that would, of course, impact what I did. And of course, as you know, no 2 days are alike ever. So that was also the fun part of my job, was I was never bored. Ever.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, when it comes to even answering the phone, though, that, of course, here was done with a switchboard. Did you deal with many different types of phone systems over those 11 and a half years you were here, or did they just pretty much have one most of the time? How did that work?
I don't remember there being a lot of change. I'm sure the technology changed on the back end that I did not see. But basically, from my standpoint, other than maybe when extensions changed or something like that, it was pretty much the same methodology.
You had a lot of extensions. That was the way it was done. Maybe you can describe that a little bit. Everybody had their own extension at one point, as I recall.
Yes. And then when I think the last change that was done, then basically I think it was largely the last 2 digits of everyone's phone number that changed, as I recall. And so that actually made it easier a little bit because I just had to remember 2 digits.
Sure.
And of course,
sure.
and the technology was such that it was easier to look someone up if that was necessary.
Yeah, the less numbers behind their name, the better, right?
Right, especially with, as age crept in. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I know that feeling. But how did you feel as more and more, like nowadays, for example, everybody has their own external phone number that people are calling. So of course that changes the job quite a bit.
I imagine so. I'm trying to remember if it seemed like in those last couple of years that I was at Outlook that the incoming calls slowed down, and perhaps they did somewhat. But we still had a lot of inquiries that came in from outside.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, those generally went through me. So
Sure.
it may have slowed down a little bit, but I don't think appreciably.
Well, I know for a fact that when you were here, the favorite number that everybody wanted to call was Janis at the reception desk.
I just know that Outlook has always felt like an extended family.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I don't believe you see today in a lot of companies. So that is always something that will always be dear to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Mm-hmm.
all my friends. I even with me being retired now, I still consider you all close friends and just always thinking of you. Y'all are never far from my mind.
Well, we really appreciate that. And I can tell you for a fact, there are a lot of people who are very excited about the fact that you're here on the Outlook On Air podcast today, because there isn't a day that goes by that usually somebody doesn't ask me, have I heard from Janis? How's Janis doing? So I'll let you have a minute or two to answer that. How is Janis doing?
Janis is doing well. I'm never bored, and I'm always busy with something, no matter how routine it might be.
Mm-hmm.
So I mostly stay out of trouble. So
can't imagine it.
Oh well, yeah, I have to rein myself in sometimes. But no, Howard and I are doing wonderfully well. I guess now would probably be as good time as any to let you know that we will be moving out of state in a few months. Yeah, we will be moving to Texas to be close to our son. We're getting at that age where we probably need a little bit of hand holding, and we'll see how long he can put up with us, but that's the plan right now.
Well, we're going to miss you, and that is big news. I guess I'm glad to be the purveyor of news that you want to tell us, but at the same time, I think I speak for everybody here who is going to be sad to hear that you and Howard are leaving. You're Howard as well. Certainly, we've gotten to know him over the years, and really enjoy talking with him and that sort of thing. We're going to miss both of you, and now it'll be even harder than ever to keep in touch, I guess. But that's the price we pay.
Well, the only constant in life is change.
It's
but
true.
I'm as close as the phone. So I'll be reaching out to you all from time to time just to check in and see how things are. And, in the meantime, we're going to still stay busy with quilting and that type of thing. So, yeah.
Now, I know that when you were still working here, and I came here, as you probably remember, I came in 2017. So I did get to be on the back side of your illustrious 11.5-year career here. And so I got to see quite a bit of it. And, it was always fun. And I know one of the things you always wanted to do when you retired was travel. Have you had a chance to do some of that? Have you had a chance to live some of that dream?
A little. Of course, we've traveled within the United States to see friends and family. We also, a couple of years ago, did have the opportunity to make a trip to England and Ireland. And
nice.
that was our first trip abroad, other than maybe a trip to Canada years ago, but our first real trip abroad, and that was pretty eye-opening. It broadens your horizons to see how the rest of the world lives.
Sure.
And it was a wonderful trip, and everybody was so accommodating and lovely and kind.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I'd love to go back. I don't know if that's going to happen, but you never know.
Well, you can always hope. You can always dream. Nobody can stop you from those things.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, like I say, been keeping busy around here, and we'll see what the rest of the year looks like. And
so, when is this big move? When's this big move going to happen?
We're guessing probably April, May, June, somewhere in that vicinity. Jury is still out on that one.
Nothing in stone yet.
Nothing in stone. No. We've got to take care of a few details. Of course, we're all a little anxious about the move. Moving, as anyone knows, is fraught with anxiety and details, and it's a bit of a struggle sometimes, but you always get through it.
Sure.
Of course, we're going to miss Omaha and all of our friends in Omaha very much. That's going to be hard. We've been here 22 years now. That's yeah. We really have planted our roots pretty deeply here, and that's going to be a little gut-wrenching, but only constant life is change, and you just roll with it.
Are there any stories that you can think of, anything that as you think about Outlook and your career here and so forth, any stories that come to mind that maybe are either funny or just things that memories that you like to hang on to and think about when you think about Outlook?
The one thing, I will not go into detail, but back when Outlook was much younger, and we were not as formal as we are now, there were a few of us that loved nothing better than a good practical joke. And I will tell you that we took full advantage of some of these. So I would love to share some of those, but I'd probably incriminate a few people. and I'm not going to do that. But
we
those
don't
of you who are here, you know who you are. Outlook is head and shoulders above any other company I've ever heard of. So for those of you who are still there, be grateful. I truly wonder if some of the employees really understand how fortunate they are to be at Outlook. If you've never been anywhere else, you don't really have anything to compare it to. But I will tell you that the care and the concern that are shown to the employees is so much more than what you'll get, generally speaking, at other companies. That I know Howard and I still discuss it from time to time. Just how caring the management team was for all of us, and how phenomenal that was. I will always have fond, warm memories of Outlook. I can tell you, it was probably the best, 10, I keep saying 10 and a half or 11 and a half. My goodness, I am getting old. Best time of my life. It was just the best time of my life. I just cannot say enough good.
Well, you were always good about that when you were here too. I don't think I ever heard you say a bad word about the facility either. Speaking of people being angry and things like that, we just aren't that way here, and you certainly reflected that. That's why people are still talking about you to this day.
Well, I have to say I'm amazed and humbled. Because this company has, from wall to wall, has got absolutely marvelous people working. And I was just one little cog in the wheel, but I think people here at Outlook are just absolutely phenomenal people. And I admire each and every one of them.
Well, I can assure you that the feeling is mutual, and Lori Matera is carrying on your legacy these days and doing a great job of it as well. And I really appreciate you taking time to chat with us today and get everybody caught up to date on the very latest with Janis Compton. So we definitely appreciate that. Well, folks, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for this edition of Outlook on Air, but we certainly hope you've enjoyed the program. We hope to see you back here again for another edition of Outlook on Air. And if you'd like more information about Outlook Enrichment, or anything Outlook for that matter, make sure you visit our website at www.outlooken.org. That's www.outlooken.org. Or you can always call us for more information or to schedule any kind of an appointment at area code 531-365-5051. That's area code 531-365-5051. And don't forget to subscribe to our monthly newsletter so that you can find out when the next podcast is available. And we hope to see you then on the next edition of Outlook on Air.